Have you ever been camping alone in the woods and felt like you were being watched? Have you ever had a gut feeling that something was off but couldn't quite put your finger on it? Well, get ready to hear some of the most chilling stories ever told by a park ranger. From a mysterious disappearance in the woods to a terrifying encounter with two strangers, these stories will leave you on the edge of your seat. So, buckle up and get ready for a wild ride as we dive into these spine-tingling tales. And be sure to stick around until the end to find out what happened next. Story number 1. Although my job as a park ranger at Arizona's Chiricahua National Park was monotonous, I enjoyed patrolling the park's winding roads at night. I liked going into the deserted wilderness alone at night, unlike my friends. I was talking to my partner Paul on the radio one night as he finished at the visitor center. He needed to use the restroom after we finished our safety checks and were about to patrol. I drove to the center to pick him up and use the restroom before leaving. When I arrived, Paul was gone. I checked the restroom expecting him, but it was empty. After a few minutes with no radio response, I went inside to find him. I panicked when I couldn't find Paul after entering the building. If we had left, my station boss radioed me. I advised him to rush to the scene because I couldn't find Paul. Paul ignored my radio calls. I lost my voice screaming his name in the parking lot to find him. No word from Paul by 11 p.m. made me anxious. My boss saw my concern and checked the bathroom security footage. Paul left the bathroom and headed toward the visitor center before turning toward the woods with his flashlight. As I waited, Paul went deeper into the woods. The police gave up after an hour due to darkness and unpreparedness. Paul was never found after the search and rescue team arrived the next morning and searched for several days. Story number 2. His disappearance is a mystery. My 13-year-old cousin and I frequented the Cuyahoga County National Park, which was near my home when I was 11. We spent most of our time exploring the woods and went on a day-long adventure to find a new hangout spot. We walked through the woods, found a towpath that led to a hiking trail, and followed it for miles until we found park benches. We went deeper into the woods than ever before after my cousin suggested we go further down the trail to find a new spot. I worried about getting lost, but my cousin assured me we could follow the trail back. An abandoned wooden cabin was off the trail as we walked. Despite its eerie appearance, my cousin wanted to investigate, and I followed him, frightened. We wondered how such a hidden gem could be rented as we tiptoed around the cabin. As we approached the back of the structure, I saw another trail leading to a parking lot. Our excitement drove us to peek through the windows. A cozy couch, fireplace, TV, and hidden bunk bed made the interior stunning. The sight enticed me to try the front door. My cousin opened the door, shocking us. I knocked just in case. The cabin was empty after several attempts. We were glad to explore even though someone had left without locking up. After miles of rough wood and park benches, I jumped onto the bunk bed, enjoying the softness. I opened the fridge when my cousin asked. We peeked in the fridge, which was full of food, but we didn't want to go in. We relaxed on the couch watching TV before heading home. Since we were thirsty, my cousin suggested we drink water before leaving. Before leaving, I turned on the faucet and drank from it like a water fountain. While drinking in the kitchen, my cousin spun around and exclaimed, "Someone's approaching!" My heart sank and I cautiously entered the kitchen. The trail had a man heading toward the cabin. I regretted looking at him because he started running toward us, and we ran out the front door. Upon opening the door, he was there, wearing a plaid shirt, jeans, and beige boots. He looked 40. Despite his stern expression, he kindly asked, "What are you guys doing here?" Although I was speechless, my cousin managed to reply, We were just exploring. We apologize and we'll leave now." The man laughed and said, "No worries, you guys can hang out here if you'd like." My cousin and I exchanged a look and I said, "Thank you, but we really should be going. Sorry again." I had always been taught not to talk to strangers, but I had no choice in this situation. Initially, I wasn't too concerned because he seemed friendly, but that changed when he spoke again. "You shouldn't leave so late. It will be dark soon. Why don't you guys stay the night?" My cousin and I weren't smart, but we knew something was wrong. Every warning sign from our childhood was flashing in our minds, and we knew we needed to leave immediately. However, the man was blocking our only exit. He locked the cabin door and entered silently. Knowing we were in danger terrified me. He turned on the TV and sat down next to us. Although I was trembling, I tried my best not to appear nervous. After enduring a few agonizing minutes, he stood up and made his way towards the bathroom, indicating that it was nearly bedtime as he gestured towards the master bedroom. He urinated with the bathroom door open to watch us. I glanced at my cousin and realized we had the same idea. Without exchanging words, we hastily got up from the couch and bolted towards the exit. Despite his protests, we were already out the door before he could even leave the bathroom. We sprinted back to the trail we had come from with all the adrenaline we could muster and didn't stop until we reached the towpath. When I turned around, he was still by the door, but we didn't look back as we left. We ran back to my house where my parents were upset we were out so late without stopping. We kept the cabin break-in from our parents out of fear of punishment. As I age, his intentions become clearer. My cousin and I barely escaped a situation that could have drastically changed the course of our lives, and we have never encountered that predator since. Story number 3. As a child, my dad frequently took me camping, and I always enjoyed it. However, after he passed away when I was young, I hadn't been camping since I was around 12 or 13. Finally, this weekend, I was able to realize my dream of camping once again. After my husband of 8 years left me, I was living alone in a one-bedroom studio apartment, in desperate need of a getaway and a fresh start. I headed to the Great Smoky Mountains in Tennessee for a weekend of solitude, far from the old life I was eager to leave behind. The next morning, I felt refreshed and ready to explore. I hiked for hours, feeling joy again. While swimming in the river, I convinced myself that it was my imagination and wildlife. My fears subsided as I got used to the park's strange sounds. The park's sights and sounds calmed me. The next day, I made breakfast and prepared to visit a beautiful waterfall 10 miles away. I overestimated my stamina and planned a hike. I needed frequent breaks by the 5th mile. Since the path was mostly uphill, my exhaustion increased with each mile. I kept going anyway. After 3.5 hours, I reached the stunning waterfall and spent a few hours admiring the scenery. I packed enough food and water for a long stay. As the sun set and the forest darkened, I worried about leaving and getting back to my campsite before dark. Although I felt better on the way back, the trees resembled shadows and I panicked. Luckily, I reached the clearing and found my tent zipper open, despite my efforts to keep bugs out. As I approached my site, I saw my bags torn apart and my clothes scattered. I panicked, hoping my purse was safe. I was surprised to find everything intact. I was still uneasy because the intruder must have known I was there and searched for my belongings. I left after finding nothing. I packed while my car sat in a dusty lot a quarter mile away. My gear and hiking exerted my feet, making each step painful. I raced down the dirt road. I found a campsite near my car. An impassive man sat on a log before a fire. He stood up and turned toward the tent when he saw me. I didn't understand his frantic actions, which frightened me. After opening my trunk, I heard someone shouting. Turning toward the commotion, I saw another man emerge from the darkness. Despite the low visibility, I saw both men had untrimmed beards. Fear overcame me as they yelled to stop. I jumped in my car and drove away, watching their shouts fade in my rearview mirror. I chose a remote campsite to avoid people, so their appearance and proximity to my car confused me. I'm glad I left then. Their camping near my site and the vehicle seemed intentional. They knew my location, which frightened me. Who knows if I stayed? Wow, those stories were truly chilling, and we hope they kept you on the edge of your seat until the very end. As park rangers, these individuals have seen and experienced some truly terrifying things that most of us could never imagine. We should always remember to respect nature and be cautious when exploring the wilderness alone. If you enjoyed these stories and want to hear more, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating content. And if you have any stories of your own, feel free to share them with us in the comments below. We always love hearing from our viewers. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.